He's one of Britain's best-known broadcasters and earlier this year revealed his stage 4 prostate cancer diagnosis. Next Sunday, he takes on Sir Chris Hoy's Tour de Force, raising money and awareness for cancer charities. Before he goes full pedal power, please welcome the wonderful Dermot Murnaghan.
All right, let's hear it, Dermot. Come on.
Yeah, come on. Thank you for having me.
Dermot in the house. How are you, Dermot?
I'm very good, actually, Chris.
All right, you look very, very well.
Oh, I'll take that all day long. Thank you.
Yeah, no, seriously, you do. I mean, you've always been fit anyhow. We're talking about Chris Hoy there. Jane mentioned Chris in the introduction. You have a great story about how Chris reached out to you.
Yeah, I like the way she said that he's taking on Chris Hoy. I thought she was going to stop there, and I thought, no one takes Chris Hoy.
That jumped out at me, Jane, to be honest, as well.
Taking on the challenge. No, Sir Chris and I, unfortunately, are members of a club that no one wants to be part of, as the saying goes, stage 4 advanced prostate cancer. I was diagnosed about a year after Sir Chris. So he just made his announcement at end of October last year. And I was thinking, I must go and get checked. Blimey. I didn't. Went on holiday and fell terribly ill. And, long story short, got diagnosed. Was in this, kind of world of mental pain as well as physical pain. And somehow, I can't really piece events together accurately, but somehow that evening, after my diagnosis, with a devastated family around you, and it is the effect on the family which kind of really impacts you, the phone went. And it was Chris Hoy. This lovely, soft Scottish voice goes, "Hi Dermot, it's Chris." And I thought, I don't know any Scottish Chris's. I really don't know a lot of Chris's, but not one that sounds like that. He goes, "Chris Hoy." And I went, no, thinking it was one of those radio spoof calls or something. But it was Chris. He'd heard, through mutual friends and contacts that I'd been diagnosed and just talked me through it. And we've stayed in touch ever since. So I thought, I'll sign up for this crazy bike ride.
Well done. And so many people have signed up for this crazy bike ride. You can no longer sign up for the crazy bike ride. You can go and watch it, but it is
right. And you can give us some money.
Yeah, you can give us some money. I talked to Chris we just discussed at Carfest over the weekend. He was brilliant. Vassos did a fantastic session with him on stage. I was in the audience for that. I basically nicked that whole interview to ask him the same questions again in front of the main stage at 4:00. There were 5,000 or 6,000 people there hanging on his every word. What was that first conversation like with you? How long did that last for, and how has the relationship developed from there?
Well, it lasted for as long as I wanted. I actually had to deal with other things, I remember, and Chris was just talking me through it about, where you are, and particularly the mental side of things. I mean, one thing really jumped out though, that lifted me, because, as I say, we were all on the floor with that. I did not see it coming, what I was diagnosed with. I thought I was a bit sick, but then to actually be sat down in the room and being told you've got stage 4, and you asked the question about prognosis and all that, which you should never ask. Chris said to me during the course of the conversation, I said, well, what lies ahead? What are you going through? As I say, he's about a year further down the track in terms of the treatment. We're on the same kind of programme. And he said, right, you ride a bike, don't you, like me? And I went, yeah, but without the like you.
Without the size.
Yeah, certainly those. And he said, and he just threw in this phrase, and he went, well, fit people like me and you can take this treatment because it involves chemotherapy. It's kitchen sink. That's it. And I just burst out laughing. I said, Chris, you're 20 years younger than me. You've got, 6 Olympic gold medals, sundry other ones you probably prop up the table with, you don't count. You're the fittest man on the planet. I will take that all day long. I'm as fit as you in your estimation. And he said it without any irony. It was just one of those moments. And I thought, this guy is an absolute diamond.
And so I suppose what he was referring to was an underlying level of fitness that is so hugely helpful. Now, he is a lot fitter than you, but that won't make double the difference, because once you have an underlying level of decent fitness, that makes almost all the difference anyway.
Correct. And there is clinical research that's come out of stage 3 trials, which is the kind of, end point. I mean, they do it with loads and loads of drugs, quite rightly, but they've done it with all cancers and exercise, and showing a definitive clinical benefit from those who regularly exercise. And one tip Sir Chris gave me was, he said, however rubbish you feel during the chemotherapy, and boy, you feel rubbish, And there are days when you feel like staying in bed all day, and the next day, and the next day, and the next day. He said, get up, get out and do something. He exercised every day during his chemotherapy. It's about 4 months of it. So did I. Again, not at that level, but just do something and keep that level of fitness up. It really does make a difference. And it also empowers you, because you're getting all these drugs and treatments thrown at you, and you may try some woo-woo lifestyle changes and dietary supplements and things. But this exercise, in whatever form you choose to do it, makes a real difference, and you're in charge of that.
Yeah, and also psychologically huge, isn't it?
Huge,
absolutely huge.
Yeah.
And so when you say that he's a year further down the road from a treatment point of view, does that mean that year gives him more than you currently have, and therefore bring it on? How does it work?
It gives you help. I mean, everyone's different. Everyone is entirely different in terms of genetic testing is huge now, particularly in prostate cancer, in all cancers. So everybody's body is different. So I don't know Chris's personal medical situation, and nor if I did would I reveal it. But he's doing really well. So it gives us all hope, those of us who've entered this weird kind of twilight zone of stage 4. And there are numbers which I have Googled and shouldn't have in terms of prognosis, but things are changing all the time. Everyone's different, as I said, and there are so many drugs coming down the track, combinations of drugs, repurposing drugs, and all kinds of things.
And it's all happening so quickly, isn't it? So you never know, do you? You just never know. I was listening to Michael Douglas the other day. He recovered from stage 4 throat cancer. And so different cancers have different stage 4 scenarios, do you think?
Yeah, I'm not the expert on it. I just focused on this. But yeah, you take that on. But then, of course, they develop drugs, and in prostate, a lot of the drugs have come across from other cancers that have been developed. And that's a huge area of research and testing, in something that works in a different form of cancer and works effectively. They may not have tried it on prostate, or may not have tried it in combination at a different time with a different drug. I mean, it really is. Once you enter that world of the internet, you think, I've got to stop here, because I'm going to be asking my oncologist to give me everything that I've read about, and they go, no, don't be so stupid.
And last time you looked, they pretty much know what they're doing.
Yeah, I mean, I trust the experts.
Yeah, of course you do. I think that's probably a wise move, don't you?
Definitely.
So I've seen you cycling before. I'm glad Sir Chris referred to your cycling. I've seen you in cycling gear. How long have you been cycling? Have you ever Brompton biked? Do you have a collection of bikes? What do they say? The number of bikes you should have, or admit to having, is one more than you... What is it? One less than will get you divorced, and one more... I don't know. There's a formula, isn't there, somewhere?
I'm surprised you're not psychologically scarred after seeing me in the old Lycra as a man.
You rock it.
But and also, if you've been talking to my wife about the number of bikes, way too many. You must have been.
How many?
You must have been in myself. I've lost count.
Double figures?
Yeah, because you mentioned Bromptons. I got obsessed by Bromptons for a while. Great British invention. Absolutely.
Design classic. Up there with the Spitfire.
Oh, fantastic. So, of course, they kept... I found, during my peak Brompton phase, I found a shop that was pimping them. Pimped Bromptons. It's much cheaper than pimped cars.
Yeah.
Pimped Bromptons.
But still not cheap.
Not cheap. So I bought a couple of those, with, different gears on them. And one with this Di2 electric... I'm getting really technical here. Electric gear changing system. I think it's the only one around. I'm very proud of it.
Do you have a road bike with electric gears that is Bluetooth friendly?
You see, I kind of had to stop. And as I got more and more rubbish, I thought, I've got enough bikes. I've got plenty of them. I've got some with the electric gears, but not the Bluetooth.
Right. So the Tour de Force fundraise to fight cancer, it's next weekend, and it starts in Glasgow at the Sir Chris Hoy Velodrome. Just come a bit closer, Dermot, if you don't mind, to your microphone. And there are 3 or 4 circuits that you can choose from. Which one have you gone? Have you gone for the big boy?
Yeah, guess
you
what?
Got your big boy pants on.
Absolutely ridiculous. The red route, 90 kilometres involving, I think, Chris Hoy referred to them as bumps. I looked them up. They're proper.
There's some
big
decent
hills.
elevation, isn't there?
Yeah, definitely.
They say that the second sector, because I looked at this last night, the option number 2 is about nearly 40 miles, more scenic, still quite challenging. But option 1 is proper, isn't it?
Well, listen, it's what the brain remembers, but the body can't probably do.
It has mountains and things.
I did get up to the stage where I did these things called the Tap de Tour, which is a stage of the Tour de France when it's all set up for it before the Tour comes through, the day before it comes through.
So
it's
you're a
huge.
proper
So I've
cyclist
done
then?
Tourmalet, Mont Ventoux, in a former existence. It's kind of
All right,
180,
what's the
200
most challenging
kilometres.
day cycling you have already experienced?
Well, that would be that. I mean, riding, I think up Mont Ventoux, it's 180 kilometres with the Tour de France. Great story on that, though, was because it's the day before the Tour de France, all the mad French people in particular have set up there with their camper vans and they've been there for days, getting their prime spot, top of the hill, just where the pro riders are just about to sprint for the top. And the finish was at the top. So I got there the day before, after about 95 hours on my bikes, sweating. And they've set up all these little trestle tables outside their camper vans. There was one there, and I'd thrown away my water bottle like the pros do to get the weight down. Yeah. Then it took me another 4 hours to kind of get. I thought, I'm really thirsty here, I'm going to die. So they had these drinks out and said, "Pour les cyclistes." I thought, oh, fantastic, how nice. Stopped in this little lay-by. They only spoke French. As you can tell, I can't speak it at all. And I said, puis-je? And they went, oui, 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 oui. And it was yellow. I thought, lemonade, fantastic. Knocked it back, and I thought, oh my God, it's Pernod and water.
No!
And
I mean, it could have been worse. When you said it's yellow and they're having a bit of a laugh, I thought, oh no, where are we going with this? But Pernod and water.
Pernod and water.
Did it do the trick?
Because they were old people, and that's what the cyclists used to do.
Of
A bit of
course.
brandy, maybe some amphetamines. I hope they left them out. And I arrived at the top and fell off my bike because I was pretty drunk.
Not. Oh my gosh, that is so funny. Where do you cycle around here then?
Regent's Park.
Yeah.
So I live in North London, and it's become a bit of a hamster wheel for cyclists.
Is that the number one thing you do then? Is that your guilty pleasure, cycling?
Yeah, well, I also during lockdown got a in the shed bike and watch a lot of box sets. And especially while I was
cycling is your thing though.
While I was going through chemo, I just get in the old shed and churn it out.
Was it a turbo trainer you got, or was it like a life cycle or something?
It's called a Watt bike. It's quite it's quite a kind of pro level standard. You can allegedly fit it up so as it goes at kind of Chris Hoy levels. It goes up to about 1,000 watts. I think I can put out about a 200 at a stretch.
He said he told us this great story on Sunday about the fact that people do see him at the lights, other cyclists. And they give it a go, and it's just why? Why do they do it? But he said he can't resist burning them off. He can't. He said he never leave 6 gold medals and a silver medal. He says I just can't help it. I'm sorry, it never leaves you. Do you know what I mean? And you get them in the end. He runs them down.
Well, maybe I'll try that. I might try that at the start of the Tour de France. Do you remember there was a bloke it was only a few years back in the London Marathon who managed to inveigle his way into the professional start, into the elite start, and he sprinted it. For 200 metres, he was in the lead.
Yeah,
he was beating everyone else. I might try that.
And so who are your heroes? I mean, Eddie Merckx was the first guy that came onto my radar, just because, if you had an Eddie Merckx like 10-gear bike, you were it.
Yeah.
Man.
Yeah. I mean, that's why maybe in later life I got into buying them, because I couldn't afford it. I'd never had a racing bike when I was a kid, and the only bike I had new got nicked. And after that, I remember the first proper bike I got, me and my brother found a frame on the dump and, put it together with some old wheels we also found.
It was a dream, wasn't it?
Yeah.
I'm new to biking a couple of years ago because I had a skin cancer thing, which meant I couldn't cycle because of my calf. I couldn't run rather because of my calf. So they said start cycling. So I bought a Canyon gravel bike, and I love cycling now. And I didn't get it before. I just didn't get it because I was a runner. But now I do get it because it's a fantastic aerobic workout. You go on a hill climb. If you can't get to the top, you just get off your bike, push to the top, and then you have the descent, and so you have this sort of on-off recovery, accelerate period. It's so good for you, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean that's exactly it. I used to run as well. I did a few London marathons and things like that. And it's less stressful as well as the body ages, less impact going through the knees.
Absolutely, 100%.
And it's exactly that. If you have had a few tinctures the night before and you go out for a run, you can't stop. I mean, if you're running, you can slow down.
Yeah.
On a bicycle, you can just coast a bit. And,
Yeah, and you can cycle to a coffee shop or a forest
stop, and that's
and
part of
hang.
it.
It's a good hang, isn't it?
Yeah.
I do like it.
And with friends. I mean, it's very social.
The thing I found hardest was the neck thing. You know, Sherman's neck after about 45 minutes, an hour. Just my neck I didn't get that. Didn't realise your arms get stronger, your forearms get stronger. It's great. What's not to like about cycling?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, sometimes on the road it can get a little
No,
hairy
it can
out
get
there.
hairy, but we try and just stay in the Chilterns.
No, I think gravel biking's a really good idea. I haven't got into that. I did a little bit of it. I had a break just after my chemo in Portugal and I got a gravel bike and went up and down some of the trails there. I thought, this is really nice, and no cars.
Yeah, well, I'm trail running now, so I just went trail biking. It's not mountain biking. It's just different. It's wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. What about your wonderful career? We could talk about it. We've never. I don't keep telling it. But I do tell the story from time to time about the first day on the Big Breakfast and your last day on Channel 4 Daily, when we were watching your show go out on the Friday and we were going to take over on the Monday, and your wonderful, magnanimous last link to camera. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
Do you remember? Can you tell me your version of the story?
I mean,
because I think I might be making it up.
No, well, I mean, I think my payoff was something like I held up the headlines, and I did it when I left Sky as well, but I loved it. I said, a last look at the headlines, because that's a kind of newsy thing to do. And I just held them up to the camera, went, there they are, and then threw them away. And
That's
I said,
exactly what you did.
I said, good luck to our viewer, because we really didn't have much of an audience, but you about instantly, quadrupled on day one, and best of luck to you.
You were so nice to us. We gave you a massive round of applause, because the truth of the matter was, Channel 4 Daily was the show that we took over from with the Big Breakfast. We couldn't understand why it didn't work, because you were really good. The show was really good. Channel 4 news gathering was really good. What do you think was the issue there?
I think Channel 4's ambition, it was different then. It was in its, obviously, I think it was 8 years old it was 92, and Channel 4 Daily started in 89. It was almost like 33 years to the day. It was September 92, wasn't it, when it ended?
I think you were 25 for your last show.
But thank you. Their ambition was, I remember going to the launch of it, and their ambition, when asked by the press, would you like to be TVAM or wherever, and BBC Breakfast there, they went, no. Our ambition is the opposite. We want to be niche, bespoke Channel 4.
Right.
So it kind of deliberately didn't chase audiences, didn't require them, and wanted to serve, and it did, serve different niches. It was very segmented.
Yeah. Most memorable days behind a news desk? Diana, royalty, generally the Queen as well.
Too many to mention. I mean, big stories, big royal stories. I mean, I kind of ended up at Sky with, the death of Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth, and then the funeral. That was huge. We broke the news. We were first to break the news in this country. And it was something, it's something as a newscaster, I'd rehearsed every year of my professional life, and you think, well, it might not happen on my watch, it depends who's on, and it did.
Just let me pause you there. So for people listening, that's not you rehearsing at home, and I don't mean that flippantly at all. That's a whole rehearsal, isn't it, that you have to, because we do them here.
Yeah. I mean, they call them after bridges operation. I mean, the original one I did was for Her Majesty the Queen Mother. Tay Bridge, London Bridge, they all had names. For the Duke of Edinburgh, different names. And every year you'd kind of, fire up the engine and black out the studios and make sure it wasn't broadcast or recorded, so people, got the wrong idea, and you would just rehearse the whole system of how you deal with this very formal and very sombre occasion.
And Diana, similarly?
Diana was, no, because it was, I mean, we wouldn't have rehearsed that.
No, you wouldn't have rehearsed it, but you broke the news?
It was total breaking news. I mean, it happened in the middle of the night, pre-internet, more or less this time of year. In 1997, I was, lying in bed, got a phone call, was at ITN, got a phone call from my boss saying, get the heck into the studio right now, this very second. And I broke that news because I was the newscaster who lived the closest to ITN at the time, to the building.
And others, more joyous stories?
More joyous ones. I mean, loads and loads. It's like it's the interviews that stick out. Two interviews stick in my mind. I don't know why, but I'm a massive country music fan, and Dolly Parton. I mean, I've interviewed her 3 times. I mean, but really, everyone's got to love Dolly. And my goodness me, what a brain! What a woman! What a singer! Everything. So
she's the smartest cookie in the jar.
She really is.
There's no doubt about that.
And all those one-liners she's got. Yeah. I wish she had.
She did. The last time we were here, on this station doing this show, straight jumps on my lap like, "Okay, Chrissy, baby, where are we going with this one?" And it was who else?
Yeah, I'm sorry to say that. Yeah. So then, on the much more serious side, I think. The 50th anniversary of the dropping of the nuclear bomb on Hiroshima. I sat in the Peace Park there in 1995 with one of these survivors, who I hope is still with us, even then a very old woman who'd been very, very close to the epicenter and for some reason had survived because of the way the eddies of that huge blast disseminate through the city. And, on one wall, they have it in the Peace Museum, if you've ever been there, is the outline of a person who was vaporised. Oh. And she tells you how she was just round the corner at the age of, 7 or 8, and, her whole family gone. We sat in that Peace Park with tears streaming down my eyes as she talked to me about peace, forgiveness, reconciliation. Do you hate Americans? I asked her all these questions. Absolutely not. They're welcome. And she made me this paper crane, which they have all the school children in every year to make thousands, probably hundreds of thousands of these little paper cranes. So, of all the mementos I've got of my career, it's that I've kept that as a bookmark. That's just amazing. Folded it up and put it in there. So, yeah.
Did you see Oppenheimer? Did you watch the movie?
I did.
What do you think?
Well, it's very interesting. Treating it as a historical representation, perhaps not, but fantastic performance from Cillian Murphy, and really good and interesting background. And you do ask yourself, don't you, Chris, what judgment would you have made at the time? So I've seen its effects, up close and personal, and heard from a survivor. You see there the calculations that have been made by, a nation that is the most powerful nation on earth still is, which is trying to end the most awful conflict in the history of the world. And these people won't give up. This country won't give up. This leadership won't give up. How do you do it?
Cillian Murphy, do you know him?
I've interviewed him a couple of times,
actually?
And he has.
We're about to interview him, and people say he can be tricky, and then I listen to him on my favourite shows, and he's not tricky at all. And I'm thinking that's projection, just because you didn't do a good interview. It's not his fault.
No, he's. I find it to be a lovely bloke. It was just after Peaky Blinders had started, and sign of how good I am at picking things. I kind of said to him. Bit like the Channel 4 Daily, backing winners. I said, I don't think it's going to work, mate.
Did you actually say that?
I said, yeah. Well, it's a bit niche, isn't it? A bit weird. It just didn't really happen.
My gosh, that is punchy.
Yeah, I'm good at that.
By the way, I was my inner jury was out on the internet. I was like, this isn't going to work. I remember when we first started, it's like, this isn't going to work. I remember the first night of Twitter. That was interesting. This isn't going to work either. Of course, they both did. And Peaky Blinders is now going to be made into a movie, I think.
Yeah, do you know what, though? I've got this place where I've been chilling, recovering from the chemo in the west coast of Ireland, and he's, and some of his friends, has bought the local cinema, which closed down in Dingletown, which is one of the most beautiful towns in the world. And the cinema closed down. We were all very upset about it. And he... good man himself, has bought it, and hopefully will revive it and revive the film festival there, I hope, and bring some of his mates along.
That would be amazing, because lots of movies are made in Ireland now anyway. Cillian Murphy is just great. We love him. And, of course, Hollywood is only a few miles away, isn't it? You have experience of Hollywood. Weren't you educated in Hollywood?
Oh, Hollywood County Down. Yes, the real Hollywood.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Yes, exactly. The proper Hollywood with one L. I was educated in Sullivan Upper School. Let's big that up. And for many years was one of their most famous alumni, and then was usurped by... There's a fella, he hits a ball round with a stick. I forget his name. Robert. Yeah. He's not bad, apparently.
So I don't know what's the story, Rory. So Dermot, this has just been highlighted to me in actual highlights from Aussie Jane. It's either that or it's her latest lipstick. Dermot recently joined prostate cancer research as an ambassador. Were you straight in there? Did you have to think about that for obvious reasons?
No,
or?
not for a second. I mean, there are two big prostate cancer charities. I mean, there are others as well. Yes, I joined them as an ambassador because, if I can turn my experience into anything, I'll do it, which is to basically raise awareness. And it's about the testing. It's about go and get yourself checked out.
Tell us about that. Just give us like 30 seconds on that.
Well, no, you did. Because there are some obvious reasons why you should. If you turn 50, do it. You have a right to a PSA test. It's not always incredibly accurate, but you have a right to it. And, the NHS isn't proactive. They won't offer it to you unless you ask for it. If you're in a high-risk group, i.e. particularly if a close male relative has had prostate cancer or some problems with it, then you can get it earlier. And if you're in a particular ethnic sections of the community, namely black men, they seem to have a much higher incidence than other sections of the population. So, get tested around about 45, 50, but demand it, I would say. Go and get it checked. And also if you've got symptoms, that weeing at night is a real sign.
Yeah. That was the big one for me because I was like going every 45 minutes, but I checked out.
Yeah.
And it's all good, thank heaven. Thank you, Dermot. Thank you for being here. Good luck next weekend. If people are just beginning cycling and they look at those saddles and they go, well, that's enough to put me off, because they look more like they're supposed to go up your bum than, cushion your bum.
Yeah.
Do you get used to that? Because I've got the, when I had the kidney stones, I had to wear these adult nappies because I was truly incontinent, and true incontinence isn't like not being able to stop yourself going. It's you don't know you've gone until you feel the warmth. And now that I put my cycling shorts on, it brings those days back to me.
Well, that's true. Yeah.
Does one get used to the saddle?
Yeah, well, don't be proud. Get the cycling shorts the best you possibly can. The nice big padding thing. And listen, you can change them. You can get a cut-out bit. They're hollow in the middle, so you don't feel as much.
If you change the saddle, is that just like? Can you never live that down? Do you have to hide the saddle?
There's these roadies, as they're called, who look askance at you. Listen, I put a bell on my road bike because I ride around in London and people keep walking in front of me. And I got knocked off once by someone just walking out in front of me, and went out with a bunch of guys who, ride around like they're in the Tour de France. Go, what you got a bell on your bike for? And I went, well, just do it. It makes sense. Change your saddle.
When did you go up north?
On Saturday week up to Glasgow.
Right, and are you going to meet up with Chris on Saturday night?
Hopefully, yeah. I mean, I think he might be a little bit busy. He's got thousands of people there.
But he's going to want you as his wingman,
yeah,
definitely, 100%.
Lead-out guy, they call him. Yeah.
All right, mate. A lead-out guy, of course. All right, Dermot, great to see you. Great to see you.
Thank you for having me.
Just great anyhow. I love you. I've always loved you. I really respect you. I've always loved having you on the telly at home. You're the best, mate. Seriously.
I'll take that all day long.
All right, you got it all day long. Let's hear it for Dermot Murnaghan, please, if you don't mind.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.